Hello and welcome to Dane Explains. I'm Dane. This is my 69th video, so I thought that's what I talk about. No, not how many videos I've made. I'm going to talk about 69, or 69ing if you know what I mean. Well, not 69ing specifically, non-reproductive reproduction, and why it's immoral. It should go without saying that the subject matter of this video is not appropriate for children. So if there are any nearby right now while you're watching this, it's time to turn this video off. Many married and even non-married Christians engage in sexual activity, but frustrate the intended reproductive ends and then think it's perfectly moral behavior. It's not. Let me explain why. Most Christian denominations these days accept contraceptive sex as moral behavior. That in turn means things like oral sex, like the aforementioned 69ing, is also fine. If you're one of those people who think contraceptive sex is fine, but oral sex isn't, why? How is sticking your sausage in a bun with a wrapper on it any different than rubbing your rocks off somewhere else? The mayo still isn't getting in the bun. If you don't think that's condemned in the Bible, just look what God did to Onan when he intentionally missed the bun while squirting his mayo. Anyway, what they're unaware of is the acceptance of this kind of behavior is a recent innovation in Christian theology. First only being accepted in certain extreme circumstances for married couples by the Anglican Church during the Lambeth Conference in the 1930s, even though initially it was very limited and just for couples who were in situations where they couldn't have another kid. But the camel's nose was under the tent, and then poof, no tent. Pretty much the only major Christian church that has remained steadfast in this is the Catholic Church. Even though, at this point, it's practically a teaching in name only. The Catholic Church used to be quite restrictive on the way people had sex, even for married couples. They had rules on how, and even when, you could have sex. The missionary position got its name for a reason. The rules are more aimed at avoiding your occasions of sin, rather than thinking having sex in certain ways or at certain times was sinful. Although, at least at the time, not following the rules would be considered a sin, akin to breaking the Catholic rule of not eating meat on Fridays. Eating meat on Fridays is not sinful in of itself, but breaking the rule is. On a side note, the no meat on Fridays rule is still in effect. They just inserted some exceptions, and no one bothers to check what they are. So, they just assume the rule has been abrogated. Anyway, there are a few reasons why these things are wrong in all situations. First off, the whole purpose of marriage is to create a stable environment to raise children. Angels don't get married. Why? Because they can't have sex, and so they can't procreate. Hence, it's not needed. Human beings are wired by God to want to pair up and marry for that purpose. This father-mother-children relationship that is created by the marriage bond reflects the relationship between God, the church, and us. So much so, the same language is used in the Bible to describe it. Jesus is the groom, awaiting his bride, the church, the offspring of which are those who accept Christ and are saved. Jesus can't be married to an empty church. The whole purpose is to bring forth the children of God into heaven. This parallel points to the importance of the purpose of marriage, and likewise sex. And yes, there are parallel things to sex in the church relationship, specifically baptism and the Eucharist. The first reflecting the procreative aspect, and the second reflecting the unitive aspect of sex. Baptism literally being described as being born again, and the Eucharist, if you believe in it as Catholics do, is literally the body of Christ. So, by receiving the Eucharist, you are literally becoming one flesh with Jesus. The exact same words used in the Bible to describe what spouses do when they get married and have sex. Well, sometimes when you see these nuggets God slipped into the Bible, your mind is just This is why the Catholic Church, and some other churches, have these as sacraments. It's such a shame that the beautiful symmetries that reveal God's intentions get destroyed in Protestant heresies. Which also leads to the sort of errors I'm talking about in this video. The last and most obvious reason that any kind of sexual activity that subverts the reproductive ends is bad is because it's an abuse of the power that God gave us to reproduce to fulfill our own personal wants. And by sexual activity, I mean any purposeful physical stimulation aimed at producing sexual pleasure in yourself or another person. So, yeah, that does include self-love. It may not be as big of a sin because you're not dragging another person into your sin, but you're still abusing your reproductive powers for your own personal pleasure. So, I've stated it's an abuse. But why? I mean, it's not like you're beating someone up, unless you really like it rough anyway. I mean, it's even stated in the Catholic Catechism that besides bringing forth children, sex's purpose is also to strengthen the bond between spouses. These are the procreative and unitive aspects that I mentioned earlier. Well, first off, consider the power that you actually have. You with another person are, in a way, sharing God's ability to create, specifically to create another human being. Even angels can't do this. Each one was individually made by God, more similar to how Adam and Eve were made. This is also more powerful than other animals' ability to procreate, because God is animating the new person with an eternal soul that in heaven or hell will exist forever. That's a pretty huge responsibility. So, when someone says, why did God create so-and-so knowing this or that would happen or that they'd go to hell? Well, God was acceding to someone else's choice. A choice of two people that probably didn't know what was going to happen. So, yeah, I guess it takes three to tango, not just two. You, your spouse, and God. This all may seem like it's a bit of a tangent, but it isn't. The ability to create another immortal soul should not be taken lightly. Then to take that incredible power that God didn't have to give us, but got out of it, and then say, nope, not this time, God. I just want to have fun with this godlike power you gave me, like a child using a magnifying glass to burn ants. So yeah, it's an abuse. It's an abuse against God. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button. Subscribe to my channel and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon. Link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.